Episode of LCJ Live. Today is Sunday, September 29, 2024. Thanks for being here. And we thought it was going to be last weekend, but this weekend proves really the power of animation in September. It's been going on for nearly 2 decades. I'll get into the stats about the past animated films that have opened in the month of September and what this latest one did, The Wild Robot, along with week 2 of Transformers 1. It's good for The Wild Robot, not as much for Transformers 1. We'll get into all of that here coming up on LCJ Live, the weekend box office results for those films, along with Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis. Oh my goodness. Megalopolis is true. Wow. Just $4 million for Megalopolis. We'll get into all that. And the Joker here's here with me because Joker Folie à Deux opens this week. Will it make more than the $93 million of the first Joker? Originally, I thought yes. Now I'm not so sure. We'll talk about that here on LCJ Live. Thank you, Fanimator 101. The Wild Robot was amazing. Even Transformers 1 was too. I like The Wild Robot. I like Transformers 1 a little more. But The Wild Robot opened to $35 million this weekend, which is one of the best DreamWorks animation opens in a long time. It's even bigger than the $30 million for Trolls Band Together last November. What's interesting is, a lot of times I always feel that if you put two animated or family films up against each other, the one that opens just before the other one, the one that opens first, is usually the one that makes more money than the second one. We saw it with If versus the Garfield movie. We saw it with Trolls Band Together versus Wish. It has happened in previous years. But in this case, The Wild Robot is going to make more money than Transformers 1. Already a bigger opening weekend and just a few million bucks away already from passing the total of Transformers 1. This $35 million for The Wild Robot currently puts it at the third biggest opening weekend ever for an animated film in the month of September, at least in the last 20 years. I haven't gone back farther than that. They're saying the last 20 years, or they're saying all the time, according to Deadline. You have Hotel Transylvania, which opened to $42.5 million back in 2012. You have Hotel Transylvania 2 that opened to, I think, $48.5, something like that, back in 2015. So you have those as the top ones. You have another movie that's close behind, but I just want to mention for a minute here all of these animated films that open in September and why September is a prime spot for animated films. It's truly because kids have been in school now for a few weeks and they need an escape. They need a way to escape from the school craziness. And so why not go to the movies and see an animated film? It started back in 2005 with Corpse Bride, which opened to $19 million with its wide release opening weekend. You had two animated movies in 2006, Everyone's Hero, which opened to $6 million, and Open Season, the first film from Sony Pictures Animation that opened to $24. There was a gap in 2007, but then we really got going all the way through to 2019 and COVID. You had Igor in 2008, which made $8 million in its opening weekend. The first Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs opened to $30 million in 2009. In 2010, Alpha and Omega with $9 million, and Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole with $16 million. I just talked with Zack Snyder about that. Check out that interview at lcj.podbean.com. The 3D re-release of The Lion King made $30 million in its opening weekend in September of 2011. In 2012, you had the first Hotel Transylvania. Then in 2013, the close one here that DreamWorks and Universal are going to watch is because Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 opened to $34 million back in 2013. So right now we're just above that at 35. Then we had in 2014 The Box Trolls, which opened to $17 million. Then Hotel Transylvania 2, that current record. And then in 2016, Warner Brothers got involved with Storks, $21 million. The next year, the Lego Ninjago movie, $20 million. And then Smallfoot, $23 million. So you had 3 years in a row of Warner Brothers animated movies in September. Then in 2019, from DreamWorks, about $20.5 million for Abominable. We had a break because of the COVID years. Addams Family 2 opened October 1, did $17 million in its opening weekend. And then last year, in the month of September, Paw Patrol the Mighty Movie with $23 million from Paramount. It totaled about 65, so a little less than the open for Transformers 1, but it'll probably, Transformers may not make it to that $65 million of Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie. So that's the impact of the month of September, and now The Wild Robot with 35, which is the biggest open for an animated film in the month of September. as of now, again, since Hotel Transylvania 2. So that is huge for DreamWorks, huge for Universal. The buzz on this for Best Animated Feature nominations and possible wins is huge. I like the film. I don't think it's perfect. It's a little chase heavy early. It's a little chatty. It didn't get me quite as emotionally as I thought it would, but beautiful animation, beautiful music, some nice, the nice score, songs. The look of it is fantastic. The voice work is pretty good, and especially Bill Nighy. Bill Nighy voices this older goose character who brings in that emotion and that power. So yeah, The Wild Robot. It's in theaters now. But if I had to pick one, I would do, if you need to see a new animated film, I do recommend Transformers 1, which dropped to third this weekend and dropped down from the almost 25 million last weekend to 9.3. That is unfortunate. That's a huge drop, but that's also what happens when you have another major animated movie open up right after yours. Remember, Paramount originally had Transformers 1 for September 13, and then The Wild Robot was September 20. Paramount said, guess what? We're going to move to September 20. You got to move Wild Robot. And so Wild Robot moved back to the 27th. And at this point, maybe the strategy didn't pay off. It's really interesting to take a look at that. Your number 2 movie, by the way, is Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice with 16 million. It has hit more than $250 million domestically in theaters. And my goodness, if this was just a straight to Max release, look at all the money that Warner Brothers would have lost from not putting it in theaters. If you're joining me here on LCJ Live, on YouTube Live, thank you. You can send in your questions and your comments. Number 4 this weekend, Devara Part 1, which made $5.6 million. Number 5 is Speak No Evil, which added 4.3. It's at 28.1. And here comes number 6. It's Megalopolis, which only made $4 million this weekend. What a terrible opening weekend and a continuous losing streak for Lionsgate. You had Borderlands, The Crow, 1992, The Killer's Game, Never Let Go. Now this. Whitebird opens this week. I'll have more thoughts on Whitebird probably tomorrow. It's the Wonder spinoff that's not going to do nearly the numbers that the first Wonder did because it's PG-13 and there's other factors involved. I can say for now that I didn't love the film. I wanted to like it a lot more, especially from director Mark Forster, and I've loved 5 of his films, but even I think he couldn't pull this off because it's challenging subject matter. It's challenging how they structure it. The performances aren't terrible. It's just, it's basic and it's a tough sell. It's a tough movie to market, and so I'm not surprised why Lionsgate has moved it across the board multiple times. And it's a tough movie to invest yourself in. Whitebird. I'll have more thoughts this week. It opens this week up against Joker. Joker, of course, will be number 1, but Whitebird also in theaters. And another film from Lionsgate, a studio that continues to struggle. And listen, Megalopolis, I've seen worse films, but I wanted to have a good time with Megalopolis, even if it was campy fun. But Francis Ford Coppola takes things so seriously that you cannot have a good time while watching Megalopolis. Even if you've been seeing the posts of people saying, oh my gosh, Aubrey Plaza's character, Aubrey Plaza, by the way, also with another movie in the top 10 we'll get to in a second. But even if you think her character is campy fun, I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel that way about the whole movie, and I wanted to. Or it could have been an intense drama that was effective, and it's neither. Because the acting is bad, the dialogue is bad, the visuals, and the story. It's style over story, and the style takes over, and the style doesn't make a lot of sense, and the story doesn't make a lot of sense. So Megalopolis is a complete miss for Lionsgate, Francis Ford Coppola, and everybody involved. Number 7 this weekend, Deadpool and Wolverine added 2.7. It's at 631.3. It passed Marvel's The Avengers. It's now the 6th biggest Disney movie ever. Number 5 on that list is Inside Out 2. Number 8 this weekend is that other Aubrey Plaza movie, My Old Ass, which made 2.2 million. It's up to 2.9. This was a wide release expansion. I'm not surprised it only made a little bit amount of money. There hasn't been a huge marketing push for it, but also it's not a good film. It's a movie that I thought, okay, we're going to take a look at this concept and we're going to see if it can work. And it does not work. The characters even explain, we don't know how all this works. It's almost like the makers were making this all up as they were going along and didn't have rules in place. Even if it's a fantasy, which this sort of is, you have to set rules and then not change the rules constantly right up until the end of the movie. You also can't make a movie that just forces information and messaging at us the whole time. Oh, you need to be appreciative of the ones you love. Yeah, we get that. You don't need to tell us that. Oh, you need to enjoy the time you have because it'll be gone. Again, you don't need to tell us that. We can discover that for ourselves. That's one of my latest pet peeves. Remember when Howard Stern hated my pet peeves of things? This is one of my pet peeves, is that too many movies lately tell us how to think, tell us their messaging. No, we want to earn that, and we want to learn that ourselves. That's as simple. Colin Panario, right? It's crazy. I think you're referring to what I'm talking about currently, maybe, along with the box office for Megalopolis, which is crazy. But yes, we don't want to be told everything. We want to learn that ourselves. So unfortunately, My Old Ass is one of those movies, and there have been a number lately that just throws information and emotion at us. We want to make you cry. We really want to make you cry. Let us feel that ourselves. Number 9 this weekend is Never Let Go, which also added 2.2 million. It's at 8.3. And rounding out your top 10 this weekend, I'm glad it's in the top 10 for a second week, is The Substance, which added 1.8. It is at, what's it at? $6.9 million. That's not a huge drop from the 3.2 to 1.8. That's not terrible. That's less than 50%. I could see this making another $1 million next weekend. Maybe it makes a run at 10 million total. I think Mubi would be thrilled. It might come up a little short, but it could make a run at $10 million domestically. Outside the top 10 this weekend, Am I Racist? At 1.1 million, it's at 11.1. Azrael, horror movie, bombed, just 300,000. Lee, the Kate Winslet drama that I'm not a huge fan of, only about 600,000 this weekend. Vindicating Trump only made 762,000. Saturday Night, which was in a handful of theaters, it goes wide in 2 weeks. The SNL movie from Jason Reitman opened to $265,000. That's a good per screen average. It's in 5 theaters, maybe 6. It's a good per screen average. The film A Different Man with Sebastian Stan from A24 added 64,000. It's at 140,000, and it goes wide this week. And the Howl's Moving Castle reissue, re-release, made $1.6 million from Fathom Events. It's just outside the top 10 this weekend. I think that's all of those. Okay, this week coming out, as I said, White Bird. Also The Outrun, which I will hopefully be seeing soon. Saoirse Ronan, who's got 2 movies in consideration for acting awards this award season. This is one of them. The other is Blitz, which will be on Apple in November and in some theaters. That's going to put her in the supporting actress category. This film, The Outrun from Sony Classics, is putting her in the lead actress category. That'll be in some theaters. I'm not sure if it's going wide out of the gate. Probably not. For television, you have Gremlins The Wild Batch, which I talked to the makers of. Go to lcj.podbean.com for that. And the season premiere of The Simpsons is tonight. My conversation with Matt Selman is also at lcj.podbean.com. Gremlins, by the way, premieres Thursday on Max. I got a film recommendation from Matt Selman. I'll tell you about that in a second. But of course, we have Joker Folie à Deux. The Joker is here with me. I was thinking definitely $100 million. And now there's been some mixed reviews that have come out of film festivals and other places that people have seen Joker, which I will be seeing later this week. I'd still think it would, but now I'm more thinking maybe 80. If it does under 70, Warner's going to consider that a huge disappointment. Warner just had a much-needed win with Beetlejuice opening to $110 million. That was PG-13. You've got R for Joker, and a sequel that I think people out of the gate are going to be at least curious enough to want to see out of the gate. Maybe they don't go another time, a second time, but so I would think it would do 100 million, but maybe it only does about 75, 80. We'll have to see. This is one that could really go either way. Tracking can say one thing and audience reaction can say another. There's multiple ways you could put this. And so at this point, my mind is at 80, but it could really go in either direction. Like I said, under 70 or 60, oh my goodness, that is going to be considered a big disappointment. Not the flop of Megalopolis, but really, really low if it's under 70. So Matt Selman told me about a film called Desperately Seeking Susan. So I watched Desperately Seeking Susan for the first time last night, and I enjoyed it. It's a little slow out of the gate, but once you know what the real story is, and the weaving in and out of all the different characters, the situations, the dialogue, It's funny, it's got some sharp lines here and there, but what you really get out of this film from 1985, which Rosanna Arquette won the Best Supporting Actress BAFTA for, was also nominated for a Golden Globe. What you really get out of it is you enjoy the journey. And I enjoyed the journey at Desperately Seeking Susan. And by the time we get to the climactic scene, I had a big smile on my face. I was really enjoying it. And the performances are great. The casting is excellent. Madonna. Madonna even gets to listen to one of her songs on the jukebox next to her. And you get the style of mid-80s New York. You also get the grit and the toughness of mid-80s New York. I really enjoyed it. Desperately Seeking Susan. Thank you, Matt Selman from The Simpsons, for recommending that. He told me that there's going to be an episode this season involving Lisa that's sort of along those lines of movies like that. Crazy Nights, New York, different situations like Desperately Seeking Susan. So if you want to check that out, it's available. I saw it on the MGM Plus channel. So if you've got that, or it's probably on a streaming service or DVD somewhere, check out 1985's Desperately Seeking Susan. When we are back here next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern for another new episode of LCJ Live, we'll see how Joker does. This could get really interesting. Plus, we will preview the box office and the movies coming out for the 11th. Nationwide is Saturday night. We'll see how that does with the nationwide expansion. We'll preview that. Also, Piece by Piece, the new Pharrell Williams Lego animated movie from Focus Features. It's a documentary. It's animated. It's Lego. It's going to be interesting how many people go to that, how many families go to that, another animated movie. So we'll preview that. We'll talk about Joker and really get into the start of the final quarter of 2024. That's right, we're approaching the final quarter of the year already. And it's been quite a 9 months, and we'll get into the next 3 months as we get into award season, big movies, awards films, nominations, and more happening. A lot happening in October, November, and December. And we'll get you up to speed with everything you need to know here on LCJ Live. Coming up soon at toofast2films.com, new episode with Mike Sargent. We review The Wild Robot. We also review George Clooney and Brad Pitt's new film on Apple TV+, Wolves. It's kind of rough. We talk about Wolves. You'll get that episode soon at toofast2films.com. Shout out to Mike, by the way. He's got a television program in association with his Brown and Black podcast with Jack Rico, which premieres on CUNY TV tomorrow at 4 o'clock if you're in New York City. Clips will also be online. Check that out. Congratulations to him. He's been working on this a long time. So check that out. And for more, go to lights-camera-jackson.com. My Twitter X is at LCJ Reviews. Instagram at LightsCamJackson. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/LightsCameraJackson. And for my Animation Scoop Q&As, go to animationscoop.com. More announcements and news and things and happenings coming at you soon. We're also getting into the holiday season. My holiday book, My Very Rocky Christmas, is available on Amazon. Thanks for watching today's episode of LCJ Live. I appreciate it, and I will see you next Sunday for the Joker box office. We'll see if it's successful or a real joke. Take care. Bye-bye.